2020. We have a hybrid meeting going here. We do have some people in the meeting room. We also have people on Zoom. It appears that we have all the selectmen except for Mark Pendergast hasn't checked in yet. He said he would be checking in. He'll probably join us later. Please stand with me and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have quite a busy agenda tonight. We do also have special guests tonight, and I'm gonna ask that we change the order of business so that we can honor our guests at first thing and help them on their way. So, is what we have tonight. We're proud to present Pat and Paul Bovier with two different awards. One is we dedicated the town report to you two, and we also nominated you for the Spirit of America Award. Uh-oh, we got something funny going on. Well, we have an audio problem. You hang on a minute.
Are we listening to that at home?
Somebody.
Does someone have a TV on? Yeah, turn it down.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We got a few technical problems to work out here. I'll read the resolution. It's a municipal resolution by the Board of Selectmen, July 28th, 2020, for the Spirit of American Foundation Tribute Honors to Pat and Paul Bovier. There's a lot of whereases in here, so bear with me. Whereas Pat and Paul Bovier, citizens of Berwick, have served the Berwick community as volunteers and appointed officials. They have given their heart and soul to mostly behind-the-scene promoting of the town of Berwick and having the vision of what Berwick is and can be. They have been very active and positive members of the Berwick community. Whereas Paul has been the longest tenured planning board member for 48 years, Pat served the Berwick children as a teacher in the local schools. Pat and Paul serve on the Vision Berwick Committee and are honorary members, as Paul is the treasurer. Pat and Paul served on the Historical Society and Preservation Heritage Committee. Pat and Paul have championed the Berwick Library donations. Pat and Paul have been instrumental in the creation of the Berwick Ice Skating Rink, prime tanning brick stack preservation. Pat and Paul were part of the creation of the Great Falls Park and the Riverfront Kayak Volunteers. Pat and Paul were part of the Prime Tanning Redevelopment Project. And whereas Pat and Paul are Berwick role models for love of family, community, and friendship with their tireless energy and let's get it done attitude. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Selectmen of the town of Berwick in sincere gratitude and appreciation that Pat and Paul Bovier are hereby recognized for their exemplary citizenship and achievement and honor brought to the community with the 2020 Spirit of America Foundation Tribute. Signed by the Selectmen. Yep. And now for the dedication. The Board of Selectmen is proud to dedicate this year's report to Pat and Paul Bovier. With no expectation of recognition, they work tirelessly, often behind the scenes, for issues preserving Berwick's rich heritage as well as its promising future. Pat and Paul Bovier hosted Brigetta Ingmerson, I always mess that name up, sorry about that, an author who discovered the writings of Berwick native Eleanor Lord Prey, connecting Vadalovstock Russia to Berwick, Maine. The Boviers have preserved Eleanor's house and restored her barn. Paul is one of the longest tenured planning board members of the state of Maine history. Pat was a school teacher for many years and has been Envision Berwick's T-crosser and eye-daughter. The Boviers are inquisitive, kind-hearted, and aren't afraid to ask why. Their focus and energy were an essential part of envisioning downtown Berwick and continues to be within Envision Berwick in the town efforts today. Pat and Paul partnered to purchase the One Sullivan building because they understood that it was an essential part of downtown. The building is now an anchor of the area, which currently houses 2 local businesses and has potential for more in the future. A small snapshot of the volunteers is the Board of Appeals for Pat, Downtown Vision Committee for both of them, Envision Berwick Committee, Historical Society, Preservation Heritage Committee, Berwick for a Lifetime, Salmon Falls River Water Quality Testing Program, Seacoast Trail Riders Associations, library donations, ice skating rink, prime tanning stack brick preservation, Great Falls Park, annual Christmas tree project, the Riverfront Kayak Launch volunteers, and many more that I'm sure I'm not aware of. Pat and Paul are champions of causes for family and town. They are advocates for quality of life, and they are supporters of all ages living in small community lifestyle. They are always dependable and firmly believe that your word is your bond. Right from Pat and Paul's beginning, they met as cheerleaders. They have maintained their understanding, friendship, level of responsibility, and steadfast courage in their beliefs and undertakers as a team effort. This is best summed up by saying, if you got one Bovier, you always got 2. Thank you again. And Steve, I'd ask you if you could hand those to him so I don't have to cross paths with... And I just have to say, you know, I've worked with Pat and Paul over the years on a lot of different projects, and their outgoing attitude and their spirit has always been a driver no matter what project we work on together. So I'm grateful to be able to work with you and continue working with you for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to just say one thing. I would like to say that if it wasn't for all the other people that we work with and their dedication and their desire to champion the town and have fun in the process, we wouldn't have been doing it, because it's the group of people you work with that makes it fun and makes you keep going.
Well,
Lots of people should be getting it.
right. In response to that is you two are definitely an anchor that keeps them going together. So thank you again. Have a good evening, guys. All right, we'll get back to our regular order of business. We have approval of the June 23rd minutes.
So moved.
There's one correction on paragraph section 13 under the motion. It currently reads Pineville and it should read Diamond Hill Road.
All right.
Yeah, Tom has a clean copy, and Tom, you have the clean copy.
Right, right. Yeah, Patty pointed out that in the official minutes is we have the corrected copy, so that is noted. Ken, thank you. Yeah, we can. Thank you.
I'll make a
No.
motion that we accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll go through the roll. Ed,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and myself is yes. And Mark still hasn't joined, okay. All right. First public comment. Any public comments? We had no write-ins or calls, so Is I'll close that. And then we have a public hearing. This is for an administrative consent on 344 Diamond Hill Road. We will be taking a vote on August 11th, 2020. We have, how you doing?
Jennifer Mccabe, Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Berwick. I just want to give you guys a little brief description of what's happening. 344 Diamond Hill Road was built. A foundation was put in, and it was 29 feet off the side property marker instead of 50. And the front setback was 71 feet instead of 75 feet. So we can't just write a letter for that and just move on. We had to take legal action. The legal action that we're taking is called an administrative consent. What that does is it requires Ed Gowan, who is here, to come to this meeting. We gave public notice for the abutters to come forward or the public to come forward and ask questions, and they're able to do so. From here on, after tonight, what's going to happen is August 11th, the board is going to take action, whether they approve it or deny it. After it's approved or denied, if it is approved, Ed is going to pay a fine, and we're going to give him CO for that property, and he's okay to sell it after that as long as it's approved. So that's just a quick summary of what's going on.
Any questions of Jen?
What is the fine, or has that not been calculated yet?
It has been calculated. Do you want me to say it here, or it's $2,835?
Okay.
And that includes all of our legal fees as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any negative impacts from this current situation?
Once the fine is paid and once we deliver CO and once it's signed off on the board, if it is approved, they'll be able to utilize the land how they want to.
Okay.
So they'll have a free and clear title at that point.
Okay.
It was founded by the mortgage company in a survey. So
Have you have any questions, Ken?
No, I have none.
No. My obvious biggest question is, how did this happen? 21 feet is an awfully big, a couple feet I can see easily. 21 feet is a little bit of a stretch.
it's a lot. Yep. And maybe Ed can speak to how it happened.
So,
He's muted. Yep.
yeah. You got it.
Ed and Lynn, can you guys unmute?
No.
There we go.
I know he thought he was in a different district regulation.
We can hear you now, Ed.
This is an oversight on my part. I mean, we're building houses and I couldn't believe it myself. But it exists.
We're getting a really loud picking noise coming through.
Yeah. Cindy, could you mute, please?
Hey, that can't.
Yeah.
Because
There we go.
Perfect.
All set.
Try that.
We're good. It's Cindy.
Yeah.
We can't hear him though. He is talking.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, can now.
Yeah,
All right.
Go ahead and explain then.
We're
Well, it
good.
was an oversight. I mean, I've been building houses over there and I don't know what happened. I don't know. I was shocked myself. I mean, I've built 11 houses in Maine, in Berwick, and I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I thought it was 25 because we went up and measured. And I thought I had 4 feet extra when they came by and did it. What are you talking about? I mean, the house is so far off, and I guess it was a bad lot to buy in the first place. I should never bought it. But that's hindsight.
Yeah.
He's had quite a few problems up there.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, going forward, so this foundation was kind of just put in there. Going forward, we are requiring every builder to come to us, stake it off. I will measure it myself and make sure it's correct before anything gets poured on land now. And that should have been happening before, but it wasn't. So going forward, that's how we can fix it on our end.
Right.
And we will be requiring that. And if they don't and they put the foundation in and then apply for their building permit, we will be back here again.
Because we had a similar issue, up off of Hubbard Road, but the foundation was put in the winter time and you're a few feet off, I can understand that, but.
Yeah, in a few feet I can see, but this is 21.
So is this an R3 zone that they're in?
Yes,
Is-
it's Diamond Hill Road, 344.
Right, so
Yeah.
all of Diamond Hill is that zone, correct? Right.
Yeah, and Ed did build a house down the road at 424, 474, something like that. He was down the road, and that house did meet the setbacks,
Right.
so, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? We'll be getting back to you, Ed. I'm gonna have to close the public hearing as of now, and we'll move in and come back to you in a little bit, okay?
All right, thank you.
Get back on my track here. We have no reports of committees. I don't think we have an Envision Berwick report, do we?
In the interest of time,
Okay.
just look at the Facebook page.
Yep. We have no appointments of presentations. Is any unfinished business anybody needs to bring up?
No.
Is town manager report?
If you've gone by 71 Sullivan, you can see there's an excavator up there. Looks like Renault is going to start putting in the drainage system that we were required to do by planning board. Shouldn't take them too long, but it'll create a much better space and better use of space. We're changing the entrance, so people looking the entrance next to the house that was there forever will be gone, and they'll be in the center of the property. We removed a dead tree that was there, so we have plenty of room. I was out at the Hubbard Road Bridge today, and they are expecting to pour the travel there on the road and bridge, and they expect to be open on Thursday. So that will make anybody traveling through there quite happy. They have some work to do underneath, but it's more or less cosmetic stuff. The fire department and PD project met this afternoon at 1 o'clock. We're nearing the end. They're dotting their i's and crossing their t's, and we hope to actually do a punch list by mid-August or third week of August, and they expect to get the occupancy permit the week of September 8th. So it's moving along pretty fast. We hope that the access road and other areas will be paved coming into Logan Street next week was the time. We're paving, but that's probably not going to be till later in August. We still have some work to do on Cemetery Road. They're finishing up work on Pine Hill, so hopefully we'll be done by mid-September. I'm keeping a close watch on that, just for the fact that I want to make sure we don't go over our budget. And we have the Diamond Hill Bridge design work is being done, and the Ridgelands Road Bridge. They've already been out to do their borings on both sides, so that hopefully will move right along. Otherwise, things are moving forward inside. Everybody seems to behave themselves and wearing masks, and business as usual. So still a lot going on. We can't wait next month to see what Great Falls is doing. They are coming. Do we have a date yet, James?
August 13th.
13th?
Yes,
Okay.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
So, and they're hoping to do a presentation down here, with a concept plan, I heard.
Okay, good. Awesome. I look forward to that. So, and that's all I have.
Did you mention the bridge, Hubbard Road Bridge? How's that work going? There's a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
I did mention
Doing the
that.
travel way.
Yeah, they told me today they expect to have it the trap opened up by Thursday.
Thank you.
And that'll end the detour.
Huh?
That'll end the
And
detour.
that will end the detour.
It'll make everyone happy, I'm sure. Yeah.
They still have other work to do on it, but they can open it up. So, looks really good. Hope Diamond Hill and
I know there hasn't been any, reoccurrence or anything, but could you just give a quick COVID-19 update? Everybody's still healthy and...
everybody in the office is still healthy. There was a some testing that was done at the fire station. One of the firemen had a family member who was tested positive, but he went out and got tested. The York County EMA came in and did their cleaning of the station. He tested negative, but he's going to go back again and test, and right now he's quarantined. So, but they being very careful. They've been very good. If you walk into that fire station, first thing you get is a thermometer pointed at you. So they're very diligent about checking. So,
Is there anything the town's lacking as far as supplies or anything?
we seem to have everything we need.
So,
Patty's done a good job making sure we have all these face masks, and she's the finger pointing. If you walk in the door without a face mask, you step outside and she will take your paperwork. But most people have been very good in cooperating. So it's to everybody's benefit.
good. Any questions of the town manager? Thank you. And that brings us to the warrants. And we have a lot of them because we haven't met for a long time. The payroll warrant 2053 from June 30th, 2020 for the amount of $55,233.08. Account payable warrant 2053 from June 30th, 2020 for the amount of $168,633.24. Account payable warrant 2054 from June 30th, 2020 for the amount of $121,831.79. Account payable warrant 2055 from June 30th, 2020 for the amount of $100,977.25. I take it all these ones for the June 30th is because that was the end of the fiscal year. Because June 30th, account payable warrant 2056 from June 30th, 2020 for the amount of $9,007.74. Account payable warrant 1. I've never seen that one. From July 1st, 2020 for the amount of $190,346.52. Payroll warrant 0002 from July 9th, 2020 for the amount of $85,356.03. Account payable warrant 4, July 15th, 2020 for the amount of $173,500. Let me start all over again. $173,526.52. Payroll warrant 0003 from July 16th, 2020 for the amount of $52,449.56. Payroll warrant 0005 from July 23rd, 2020 for the amount of $62,549.22. Account payable warrant 6 for July 7th, July 27th, 2020 for the amount of $929,263.53. And then payroll warrant number 7 for July 30th, 2020 for the amount of $57,851.58. I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any
Thank you, Frank.
discussion? I'll go through the roll. Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is yes.
Just to back that up, the auditors would normally be in the building next week, but it's going to be a Zoom and phone computer. But they are collecting the rest of the data.
Okay.
So we should,
Are we looking good on that?
it's been a tight year.
Yeah.
But we will be just fine.
That brings us to new business, and we have first up the Maine Municipal Association Legislative Policy Committee ballot. And this is for the Legislative Policy Committee that they get together and talk about the upcoming legislation and what legislation they want and is best for the towns and their opinions. is we get to vote for two, and we have two candidates. Perry Ellsworth from South Berwick and Dana Lee from Town of Elliott. Are there any questions?
There's a spot for a write-in.
Oh, you want it?
No.
Okay.
Nope. No.
Sure is tempting, though, isn't it?
Yeah. All right.
Good choices.
Yeah.
They're both good town managers and very
Yeah,
good.
they've both been at it for a while, and
They have.
they represent Southern Maine very well. I'll accept a motion to
So moved.
Second.
second. I'll go through the roll. Ed,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and myself is yes. Thank you.
I think they're going to get it.
Yeah, at least from here. Right. Oh, election of Board of Selectmen Chair and Vice Chair.
I move that Tom Wright serve as the board chair.
How'd I figure that was coming?
Second.
How about you, Ken? You interested?
If I had more time and wasn't quarantined, maybe.
Uh-huh. Excuses. I'll just go easy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. All those opposed? Me. And Vice Chair I'm going to nominate Ed Ginier as Vice Chair.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
No. I guess we're continuing on with the team. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. July 14th, 2020 election results. I want to say thank you to Patty and all her staff. It was a tremendous job. We had just over 1,000 people
Yep.
voted,
Yeah.
and was it over 600?
In person, yeah, we had about 470 absentees, and
407.
the rest were in person.
Wow.
So it was a busy day.
Did it go pretty smoothly?
Yeah, all in all, yep,
Yep.
not bad.
So, I'm not going to go down through everything, but everything passed.
Yes,
Obviously, Mark and I were reelected, and Denise Mallett was reelected to the school board. So, and then everything else passed with quite large margins, actually.
Thank the town voters for support,
Absolutely.
what we're doing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I had a feeling that this round was going to be pretty much as we have seen in the past. I have a feeling next year might be a little bit different, and I want to just put out there to the town manager and any department heads listening that we're going to have a really tight budget next year.
Yep.
So no big purchases if we can avoid it. Knock on simulated wood.
Yeah, we just hope the revenue, it's really comes down to what we get for revenue from excise tax and revenue sharing. We actually backed those off in this year's budget. Not sure what we're going to get, but this pandemic thing gets taken care of sooner than later. We might be able to have a decent end to the year, but we're going to be very conservative coming into the next year.
And that brings us to 2021 Assessors Return. Do you have any explanation on that, Steve?
Paul, you want to talk about the assessor's return?
This is the annual portion of the county debt that goes to each town. This year, the county is looking for $357,113.56. We're just looking for this to get signed so that the county can get their funds.
Do we know how much of an increase this was?
last year.
Yes.
I don't have that with me.
Okay.
I don't think it was too much.
No, it was like 3%, 2 or 3%. They been real good keeping it,
Been pretty close.
yeah.
And you need a,
We just need the signature on it, so you might
Yep.
take a vote.
do we need to vote?
No, you gotta pay it.
Gotta pay it? Oh, come on.
Just sign it.
Just sign it off on it.
All right. All right, so then we get to quick claim deeds and installments. We have none. That brings us to abatements and supplementals. You're up again, Paul.
All right, so the first one is a tree growth penalty on lot R58-3A on Route 236. It's for Norman R. Albert. The property is a 22.87 acre parcel with a single family home, and 20.87 acres were classified as tree growth. On March 6, 2020, the property owner transferred ownership of 7.45 acres, including the single-family dwelling, leaving, and that transfer, there was 5.45 acres that were classified as tree growth. Because the property is less than 10 acres, we're looking to issue a penalty in the amount of $2,580.
Does anybody have any questions of Paul?
No, I move we accept the abatement as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I'll go through the roll. Is Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is yes. Next up, Paul?
Okay, next one is a farmland penalty, for Sunshine Goodrich. It's map R40, lot 11. On April 29th, 2020, the assessing office received an application for open space classification from the property owner, Sunshine Goodwin, for her property at 308 Diamond Hill Road. The total area of the parcel is 8.7 acres. At the time of this application, the property had 1 acre classified as a building lot for her home and 7.7 acres classified as farmland. According to the open space application, 6.6 acres are classified as ordinary open space and 2.1 acres are classified as an improved site or building lot. So a penalty may be assessed because that extra 1.1 acres was removed from the farmland classification. So we're looking to issue a farmland penalty in the amount of $288.57.
Any questions of Paul? I just have one question, Paul. Is when it says the open space application in the third paragraph down is 6.6 acres classified as ordinary space, open space, and 2.10 acres are classified as an improved building site. Is that because of the zone she's in? In the R3 that it goes to the 2.10?
No, I think it's because they submitted a new application, and the new application indicated that 2.1 acres was no longer being used as farmland.
Oh, I see, okay.
So we're issuing the penalty on the 1.1 acres that was taken out.
Okay. Any further questions of Paul?
No, I move we accept the penalty as presented,
Second.
or supplemental tax bill.
Any further questions? I'll go through the roll. Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
All right, so the first one is an abatement for lot U6, the map U6, lot 4 on Knox Lane, Keith L. and Cynthia Bowles Revocable Trust. The subject property is a .39 acre vacant parcel that sold on 9/18/2018 and was assessed to the incorrect owner. So the parcel has since been merged into U65, an abutting parcel alone. also was purchased it. So we're looking to abate the owner for where they shouldn't have been billed for $115.70.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
I'll go through the roll. Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is yes.
All right. The next one is a personal property account, number 808. It's the hospital on Fort Dana Street. The personal property declaration form and business equipment tax exemption, Betty, for the business was received in the assessing office on 4/29/19. The personal property listed at the York Hospital location was denied on the Betty application because the items were already exempt due from taxation. However, due to a data entry error, the items were not noted as exempt and they were taxed. So we're looking to abate them in the amount of $109.28.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
All right, the next one and final is, was the property that was at the last meeting where we got the incorrect paperwork. So this property is Harvard Turf Farms. It's map 13, lot 1 on Ridgeland Road. The subject property is a 723.87 acre vacant parcel, which is the result of 12 parcels that were merged on April 1st, 2007. Of those parcels merged, R13-1, there was 27.1 acres that was not enrolled in the current use program, or we did not have a record of it. It was not classified as farmland. During the revaluation, that 21.7 acres, and the 4.7 acre from 13.2 was the other right one, which totaled 26.4 acres. So there was 21.7 acres from R13-1 and 4.7 acres from R13-2, which totals 26.4 acres. And they were valued as just vacant land that was suitable for residential development. The property owner, which Mr. Donahue is here tonight, indicated that as far as he knew, they were all in the farmland program. However, we never had any indication of that. He did produce an application a few weeks ago into the assessing office, but it was an incomplete application. It did not include the full acreage of the parcel, and there was no indication of a tree, any mapping or anything that showed us where that breakdown was. The other thing that he's contesting is that the property is located in a neighborhood 40, and we have it listed as a neighborhood 50 zone, which will be corrected for next year. I don't feel that is a substantial reduction in value that would indicate a change. So, again, I'm recommending that this application be denied, and we will correct it for next year.
Any questions of Paul? We have Mr. Donahue here.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Donahue.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. So I just try to make this brief. I sent a letter to you that explained everything, gave the whole history of the parcel, so forth and so on. At the time that we combined the lots into one, evidently it became obvious that there was some acreage, and Mr. McKinney has a copy of an old property card indicating that there were 30.06 acres that had not been in the program. I don't know where that was or anything else, but when we combined the lots, we submitted an application for that 30.06 acres, And it was done just to make all the numbers add up properly. On the same day we sent in that application, we entered another application for a new lot that we had purchased, which was, you can see on the letter I wrote, it was lot R1302. It was a 4.7 acre lot. We submitted that application, and subsequent to that, the next tax valuation reduced the value of that lot. So it was obvious that those applications had been received by the assessor's office. Now, unfortunately, this happened at the time where there was a death. The assessor at the time passed away, and Mr. McKinney said that he had to go up to his house and clean out his truck. And the comment he made to me was he wasn't very neat. And so they never found either of those two applications. I happen to have copies of them, and I provided those copies to you with the letter I wrote to the last meeting. So I think that, again, what I said in the beginning was that this is a clerical error. And I think with the information I provided now and this new revelation that Karen and Paul and I went over in a meeting a couple of weeks ago at the town hall, indicates that the taxes had changed, had gone down, and all the property was being assessed farmland value, but they couldn't find the application. That's not my problem. So that's the case. It's a matter of I think probably the assessor. The fact is that the valuation went down that year. There was no reevaluation. The only way the evaluation would go down if there was a piece of, if there was another application, so they lowered it into the farmland tax base. So I think it's very obvious that this was an unfortunate thing that happened because of the assessor passing away, and so I don't think we should have to pay for it. And I just have one other comment. You guys said that everybody was happy about the bridge on Hubbard Road getting fixed. Well, I live on Hubbard Road, and we've enjoyed 2 months of peace and quiet without any road noise over here. So the detour's been a pain. I've had to drive 14 miles around it a number of times, but to sit on my porch at night and not hear the cars roaring by, it's been worth it. So that's my other comment. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You like to respond, Paul?
Listen, I know that was around the time that Peter passed away. I did go up and retrieve a lot of things from Peter's truck. I did not see that in there. It is possible that I could have missed it, but I did make notes in previous records where we did not have an application for that parcel. Now, the only property record card that I've got with me is the 2017 value and the 2018 value, and those were identical, 280,800. And then the 2019 value, which was the reevaluation year, went up to 423,500. So that was, some of that value was because of the revaluation, and I said I don't know what happened to that application because I never found it. I didn't have anything in the file that was stamped that we received an application. Which is, that's not normal practice. When we receive anything that we receive for documentation, we stamp it with the date that we received it. Because these are also time critical. Now the other, the abatement statutes indicate that the property owner has to prove that it was manifestly wrong, that there was unjust discrimination or substantial overvaluation. And in this case, I don't believe that's been proven.
Any questions of Paul?
Well, I have a question. Why in that subsequent year, why did the assessed value of that property go down when everything else stayed the same? If you didn't have copies of the applications that we submitted, I have 2 copies. In fact, all of you people in the Selectmen's board here have copies of all of these applications for farmland. We combined 12 lots into one, 12 into one 723 acre lot. And, anyway, so prior to that, the evaluation, you look at the letter that I sent you, and you can see on page, where is it now? On the end of page 3, I guess it is, end of page 2, you can look at the 12 lots are all listed, and the per acre value is which is what I go by, is when you look down, you see our 13 lot 2 is $3,255. All the others are around $400. And suddenly, so that brought that value of those 12 parcels to $287,400. The next year, it dropped to $280,800. So what happened was, even though Paul can't find the applications, they obviously had been entered into the assessor's office. Explain to me any other way that the assessed value would have dropped that year. There is none. So I think.
And I only go back to 17 on the card, so that's all I have in front of me.
Well, I go back further than that, and you should too. I think because that's the critical year. That's the critical year right there. Is that?
Do you have that record by any chance?
Yeah. Yes, I do. So to answer your question on why was that lower when it was combined was not because it was placed in farmland. We have codes in which we classify land, and it was classified as 1300, which means it was a buildable, it was a excess land, but there were condition factors that were placed on it that lowered the value. When we did the revaluation, we reviewed all of these various condition factors on properties to see if they were still valid. And when we remove those, then it increases the value. But as far as classification goes, those two parcels, the 21.7 acre and the 4.7 piece that's being referenced, were classified not in farmland according to our records.
But your records are inaccurate. I have copies of the applications. You saw them. You saw the copies of the applications, and the valuation dropped that year after those applications were submitted. You can't tell me that because you don't have them, I have to pay. I mean, that's just not right. It's just not right. Your record is not right.
So the confusion comes because you're seeing a value that's lower, that is similar to something that is placed in farmland. So to the observer, it appears to be the same, but in our classification, it's not. The classification was not in farmland, even though the value was similar.
Let me go back to, so in tax year 2017, the assessed value of all 12 of those parcels, the total assessed valuation was $287,400. We combined the lots, we put in 2 additional farmland applications, and the value of that property dropped to the assessed value, $280,800. And it was that was 2018, it was $280,800 from $287,400. So it dropped $7,400, whatever that is. And then you look at tax year 2019, it stayed the same, $280,800. And then it went up over 50% in tax year 2020. It's just not right. I mean, it's just not, you didn't have the records of changing those parcels. One of the parcels we bought, and it was not in the tree growth program. We immediately went over and submitted that, and then at the same time found out there was 30 acres, 30.06. And Paul, you had that number on a property card, 30.06 acres.
It was not in tree growth.
Well, that's okay. So in order to fix that, we said, okay, we're not going to argue about it. All right, fine. In order to fix that, here's the application for the 30.06 acres. And we submitted that application, and you can't find it. I have copies of it. In fact, all you selectmen have copies of those applications as well.
I did not have a copy up until 2 weeks ago for that 30 acres.
Right.
All right.
That's not my fault.
There was, well, I understand, but the land previously was classified as unbuildable land. When we did the reevaluation, we determined that there was a buildable lot there. That's why you saw such a huge increase.
Well, but you didn't, if you had that application on hand for the 30.06 acres, there wouldn't have been any question. All the acres would have added up. You know, so I mean,
So if I can interject here,
yes.
Mr. Donahue, is, when did you first, file for this abatement?
It was, well, the first thing I did was went to the meeting, the 10-minute meeting when I got the evaluations. And as soon as I walked in and sat down, Paul said, well, we don't have time to deal with this. That was the first thing, you know, and so subsequent to that, I filed the abatement and under the, whatever the rules were, I mean, 30 days or whatever it was, I don't know what the date is. You probably have a copy of the abatement right there in front of you. So I don't know what the date was, but it was within the rules.
After our last revaluation. So it was just recently.
That's correct.
Just recently. Now you're going back to 2017, arguing that, paperwork from that time was, should be considered rather than what is in front of us now. Is one thing I've learned,
If you consider what's in front of you now, we would all agree.
Is
the assessor's office is casting doubt on on those applications that they talked about, although they did drop the assessed value. So I don't.
If I can continue, is one thing I've learned as being a selectman is when we talk about property taxes, because we run into this quite often, is that it's up to the landowner to make sure that their assessment is correct. So
and it is, and it was, yes.
Well, but you're arguing about something that happened 3 years ago, and we don't have control over.
When I put an application in, I just assume naturally that the assessor's office will maintain those records, and in this particular case, they didn't. That's the real issue.
So you're saying that you put that application in 2017?
Yeah, you have the.
Let me continue, please. Let me continue, please. I've given you time to talk. Please let me continue. So you applied those applications in 2017. So you had 2 years where you didn't contest it, and then after the valuation, you did contest it.
That's correct, because the values went down after the value dropped from 287,400 in tax year 2017 to 280,800. It dropped to that in tax year 2018, and then it stayed the same in tax year 2019. So I have nothing to complain about. You look at the letter I sent. Look at the per acre value that I come up with. That's how I look at it. I look at the per acre value. Look at that letter and look at the per acre value that
I understand how you look at it. We have to look at it in a different way. We look at it through the municipal lens, and we have to rely on our experts, who are our assessors. And
right.
So my point was that you had 2 years of after you supposedly filed this application where you didn't do anything. So
right.
that isn't on the town's side. No, that's up to the landowner to make sure that your taxes are correct as far as evaluation.
Well, they were 280,800. That works out to a reasonable number when you divide it out per acre basis. That's what I look at. I look at the per acre basis.
And what's the assessment for the property now?
The assessment right now is
423.5.
423,500.
So it seems to me, and from where I'm sitting, where I'm looking, is that you didn't have a problem with this before. It wasn't until you had your revaluation and you went up quite a substantial part that you decided that now you're going to do this. So
but that's not true. What it was the all the property was taxed on the farm program basis. And all of a sudden now they find, now new people come in and so forth, they find there's 30 acres or 25, or everybody's got a different number, but there's some acreage in there that isn't in the program. And everything we've owned has been in the program since day one. Since going back to 1990 or 89 or whenever, you know? So it's just, that's, I don't know. You guys gotta make up your mind. I've beat this horse enough, you know?
So.
I mean, I looked at cards back into 2006 when you were in the office, and, you know, there was clearly that land was not in farmland.
So.
I said, I don't
But
know.
It was taxed as if it was in farmland.
No, it was not. No, it
So-
was not.
so
It was taxed as a reduced rate because we were considering it a non-buildable lot.
Okay, well.
Right.
It was at 10% of what the total value.
Yeah,
So
same
you didn't
difference.
see the
And-
difference in the value, but the way that we were taxing you was correct. It was not in farmland.
Yeah, but okay, so then let's go to 2017. What was the date of that application that I talked to you about on R13? Those applications were, I'm sorry, I said February. Those applications were put in on March 23rd, 2017. And there were two of them that were done that day. One for a new parcel we bought, and then the other one for 30.06 acres. And you never found them. So you couldn't change it. I mean, it's not your fault that you couldn't find them. It's somebody else's fault. But I have copies of them.
I'm gonna cut that off for just a few minutes. I'm gonna ask the selectmen if they have questions of Paul and Karen.
Okay.
Any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. I think like Tom mentioned, I feel that we have assessors who are already experts in this situation. I am not sure what happened with clerical errors or whatever that may be, but there seems to be a long period of time when everything was fine, and then obviously the reevaluation came about and things changed, and obviously the valuation has significantly increased. So that would probably draw your attention more so than anything else. Be that as it may, I trust our assessors. I believe that what they do is accurate and correct to the best of their abilities. So I have to rely on that as well. I'm not sure what happened in the past, but I have to rely on what they observed to this point.
Well, you don't have to rely on them. I have the paperwork. You have the paperwork in your hand of those two applications that were submitted on that date. Look at it. 3/23/17. There are two applications submitted that day. And the assessor's office has no record of either of those applications.
Ken, do you have any questions of Paul and Karen? Any comments?
Listening to everything, I understand you've got copies of the applications. The town doesn't have any record of those receiving those applications, so it's like somewhat. I'm not saying they weren't submitted. I'm not saying they weren't received.
The proof that they were submitted is the fact that the valuation decreased the year after those applications.
That's not proof.
Right,
That's not proof, Mr. Donahue.
Karen explained that wasn't because of the application. She said it was because they looked at the limiting factors that had kept that as a reduction and gone back and fixed those. So I think those are two different issues where Karen said.
Well, naturally you would, but anyway, go ahead, make your vote, let's get this over with.
I really resent that. Noah, you have any comments?
I actually feel like I have an incredibly clear picture of what happened, which is surprising because it's been going back and forth, but I feel like I understand entirely what happened. The property was being taxed as not buildable, which is roughly the same as being in farmland. You thought it was in farmland when it wasn't. Understandable. They did the reevaluation, which changed their evaluation of that property. You went to go challenge that valuation, which is also reasonable, and found out that that property wasn't actually in farmland. And, and now we're dealing with that situation. I understand how we...
It wasn't in farmland because the assessors couldn't find the applications. That's the point. That goes back to 2017.
I understand.
They had them at one time because they lowered the taxes.
No.
Then all of a sudden they can't find them.
I
And
feel
he
like
Paul
we-
went up and he kind of dig through some guy's truck who Paul himself says he was not very neat. And Paul, led me to believe, well, that they could have been in there, and, so I don't know what you.
I understand how we got here. I really do. And I understand how you were confused by the situation.
I'm not confused. I have evidence. I'm not confused at all. I know exactly what happened.
Okay.
Well, then we just have to, sadly, we're going to have to agree to disagree on how we view the situation.
I'm not surprised.
Any other comments?
No.
Any other comments? Do we have a motion?
I move we accept the town assessor's recommendation for abatement denial.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
No.
As I'll go through the roll. Ed?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And myself is yes. Thank you.
I think we have one other thing, but it'll be at the end of the meeting. Is that
Yes.
correct?
It is, well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you before we get there, Paul, is if we go into an executive session, we cannot come back out and make any motions or anything. Any decision we make will have to be made at our next meeting. Is that going to impact anything? I have no idea what the executive session is about.
No, I don't think that'll impact it.
Well, yes, when will you be making a decision?
Well, we can't make decision we can't make a decision in executive session. We have to come back out. But we have a problem. We have a problem with our transmission in our video going out over the air, is where we can't go into executive session and come back into the public. And so any decision we make would have to become at our next selectmen's meeting.
We have,
I don't think that'll be an issue, because I believe if it's something, well, I can't, it's hard to discuss it, but I don't believe that'll be an issue.
How about you, Mr. Manager? Do you have any opinions on?
No, I
Yeah.
trusted Paul.
Well, is it a time-sensitive matter?
Well, it's on an appeal, and the appeal hearing before the county is August 7th?
August 5th.
August 5th.
So,
But if,
um,
but it may be, if we come to an agreement, it may be a moot point, we may not need it.
well, the only thing is, if we come back out of executive session, the decision won't be recorded.
Well, it's not on the
No,
agenda.
Well, it will be recorded by the clerk.
recorded, but it won't be on the public record.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be on the video record,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Right.
So,
I think you can come out of executive session and Patty can
Okay.
help make the decision.
So,
right.
for the audience at home and anybody that might be watching this, this all revolves around our procedures and how we have to make things legal. We discuss things in executive session, but we cannot make a decision in executive session. We have to come back out and make any decision public. What we're going to do is we will be going into executive session. The meeting on the video will end. But we will come back in if we have to, and to a public session, and Patty will record the vote.
Right.
So, all right.
So is there any other business that needs to be taken care of before you do that, so we don't lose anybody here?
Well, that's what I was just looking at. I don't think there's
Public
any.
hearing, that's it.
No, we have no public for a second public session. We have no other business or non-agenda items that I know of. As far as the consent on Diamond Hill, we'll be making that vote publicly on August 11th. So that will be taken care of at that time. So before we go into executive session, is there anything else any of the selectmen want to bring up?
Oh.
All right, I'm going to make a motion.
Is there any need for us to be on any longer?
No, you're all
set.
Thanks for hanging around.
Right.
You're all good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session under Title I, subsection 405-6E, with a consultation with the assessor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, give us a few seconds and we'll make